Are you overwhelmed by the sheer number of Bible translations available today? Do you struggle to know which one is right for you? In this video, we'll break down the differences between popular Bible translations and provide practical tips for choosing a translation that will help you deepen your understanding of God's Word. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Wendy, and on this channel, we cover all things Bible study related. Now, let's talk Bible translations. First, it's important to know the different translation methods. So there's two opposite ends of the spectrum. There's word for word and there's thought for thought. Word for word translations aim to translate the original text as literally as possible, while thought for thought translations focus on conveying the meaning of the text in modern language. So you'll see that they run the gamut, and I'll put a graphic here on the screen so you can see just the spectrum of translation. So when you think word for word, think an interlinear Bible, think King James Version. And on the complete opposite end, thought for thought, think the Passion Translation, Message Bible, the Living Translation. And then you've got a ton of Bible translations that sit mostly in the middle, but they're not on the complete opposite end of either spectrum. So again, if you missed the graphic, I'll put a link to it in the description of the video so that you can see from christianbook.com where different translations line up with respect to whether they are word for word, thought for thought, or somewhere in between. Next is to consider your reading level, because some translations are written at a higher reading level than others. So if you're new to reading the Bible, you may want to choose a translation that's easier to understand, such as the New Living Translation or the Contemporary English Version. Again, referencing that chart to know where it falls in relation to word for word versus thought for thought. So it's not one or the other unless you're only buying one Bible. And I'll get to my suggestion if you're only going to buy one, what you should buy. But it's good to consult different translations, 2 to 4 translations when you're studying, so that you can get both the overall meaning of the passage and the word for word, like literal, what is the author trying to say. So again, you consult both types of translations, but choose where to start for your first or next Bible, understanding the limitations of any translation that you pick. Unless you are a Greek or Hebrew scholar, if you are, that's wonderful. I'm still studying Greek and Hebrew in seminary, so I have an interlinear Bible that has the Hebrew and the Greek along with the English. But, let me caution you, if King James Version is all that you have and it's all that you want to study, that's fine too. Just know that you may be hating life after a while with all of these and the thous and the arts and things like that. I find it much easier to ride somewhere in the middle between word for word, which is King James, and thought for thought. So, point number 3, think about your study needs. If you're looking for a Bible to use for in-depth study, you may want to choose a translation that includes study notes and maps and other helpful resources. For example, this Bible in front of us, which is the She Reads Truth Bible, is a Christian Standard Translation. And right here we are in the book of Esther, for such a time as this, which is a very common quote from the book of Esther. But now let me see if I can zoom in here. So it gives you where Esther is on the timeline, on the biblical timeline, a little background of the book, message and purpose of the book, and, why we give thanks for the book of Esther. And then if you turn the page, let me zoom back out here. Ooh, I'm sorry for the shaking. You actually have a map of the Persian Empire that shows the Royal Road, it shows other roads, and then where the Sahara Desert is, Egypt, the Syro-Arabian Desert, Cappadocia, and all that. So all these places that are important in the book of Esther. And then there is a reading plan for Esther. And every book in the She Reads Truth Bible features this. So read and understand Esther. It says, the Bible is a complete work in which many stories combine to tell one story. As you read the book of Esther, consider reading the additional passages to discover how the whole of Scripture works together. And it gives you a 2-week reading plan that as you read through Esther, you will also read through Psalm, Proverbs, Isaiah, Romans, Mark. So you get a holistic view of how the book of Esther relates to the Bible as a whole, to the story of redemption, to just being, sorry, I'm adjusting the camera, to just being a part of your study session or being in time with the Word. So you can use a study Bible like this, or I'm going to show you another one, which is actually pretty cool. My friend Lanisa recommended it to me. It's pretty hefty, so it's not something I carry around on a daily basis. It stays in the house. It's called the Chronological Life Application Study Bible. And the reason I like this Bible, you can see it's not tabbed. And the reason it's not tabbed is because this Bible takes the events of the Bible and puts them in chronological order. So this is also not a Bible, and I told you it's pretty thick. This is not a Bible you take with you to church, and when the pastor says turn to Luke 4 whatever, yeah, I mean you can turn to Luke 4, but it may be a little harder to find it than if you were using the other Bible. So let's take a look inside and see what this looks like. So right from the beginning, I'm going to zoom in for you. You see timeline at the top. I happen to turn to the book of Daniel. And then Kings Daniel served. There's a nice chart here. And then there are also notes for the different verses. And then you can see on the opposite page where there are footnotes. There's more notes at the bottom. I'm trying to make sure you can see everything. Even on the side of the page here, 539 BC, Daniel thrown to the lions. Now, when you're reading through the Old Testament, this all pretty much makes sense. But let's say you're in Psalm and you don't know what they're referencing in response to that particular situation that they are praising God for, or lamenting, or just full of sorrow. So here's what I like about this. Let's look at Psalm 22. The theme, a prayer that carries us from great suffering to great joy. Despite apparent rejection by his friends and God, David believed that God would lead him out of despair. He looked forward to that future day when God would rule over the entire earth. And it tells us that the author is David. And then what you see here for the choir director, a psalm of David to be sung to the tune of Doe of the Dawn. You typically see that in a Bible. So that, but a lot of times that doesn't mean anything to us because we don't know what Doe of the Dawn is, and we don't know why David is going from great suffering to great joy. And that's where these notes come in towards the bottom. There we go. Towards the bottom. Just like I showed you in the book of Daniel. And then also what I like over here is that it gives you a chart of where you can find Christ in the Psalms. And then the fulfillment, so the reference to Christ in the Psalm, and then the fulfillment in the New Testament. So, like I said, in the New Testament, things get a little bit hairy. So, we turn to 1 John. Actually, let's turn to a gospel. Gospel. Because I want to show you what happens in a chronological Bible. So, here we go. So, in the Gospels, let's talk about Peter. And Peter denying knowing Jesus. Lots of references to that in the other Gospels. It starts with Matthew. And this is Matthew's account of Peter denying Jesus. Now, if we turn the page, we continue with Matthew, and I'm sorry this is hard to see, but then it also gives us the same gospel account in Mark. And these little dots here tells you that this story appears in all 4 gospels. So Mark is the 2nd instance, Luke is the 3rd instance, and then John is the 4th instance of the story of Peter denying Christ. And then if you keep going, you see the Council of Religious Leaders condemns Jesus. So this isn't a let's turn to Luke 22 kind of Bible. This is we're going to talk about this event on the timeline, Jesus in the timeline, and how this story is told in different gospels. And this is the New Living Translation, I believe. Yes, it's the New Living Translation. So it falls kind of towards the middle between word for word and thought for thought. I hope you're getting value out of this video. Make sure you leave a comment below and let us know what Bible you're currently using or considering buying. So point 4 is to consider your personal preferences. Do you prefer a Bible with a leather cover? This is imitation, I think. Do you need ribbons or extra ribbons? This one only has 1 ribbon. Do you need it to be more compact? And I'll show you one of those. So this is my New Living Translation Thinline Bible. Again, the links to all these Bibles in my Amazon shop will be in the description. But this is one that I tend to carry around in my backpack or my purse because it's pretty thin. It's not too heavy, but the other 2 that I showed you were pretty thick and heavy, so they don't travel because I don't want to throw out my back. Do you need large print? Are you okay with small print? Is a compact Bible okay with you? These personal preferences may influence your choice of translation because you may need a compact Bible, but the translation that you desire isn't available in a compact version. Now it's 2023, so let's hope that's not the case, particularly if you speak English, but that could be the case. So think about if the Bible you are considering purchasing needs to travel with you, how easy is it to use at church, and whether you will need margins for notes and journaling. So I don't really have margins here. I just turned to Song of Songs. There's not really a lot of room in the margins to take notes, but I may use this as a prayer Bible. So instead of writing notes in the margin, I would highlight it and tab it so that I can easily find the verses later. Again, is it meant for you to take with you? Is it meant for outreach? Is it meant for you to study at home? Is it a family Bible? All of these things need to be taken into consideration. And point or tip number 5, gather your tools and resources. And to learn more about which tools and resources I believe are great for Bible study, check out this video next. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell, ding, 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 to get notified when a new video drops. My name is Wendy Coop, and I'll catch you next time. Be blessed. Bye.